Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So, we got this really interesting release. Uh, Dark Lord Ash did a video on this already. It's a beer stein that's available on the Diablo, the Diablo merch store, the Blizzard merch store. And on the beer stein is a very fancy lid. The beer stein has some pretty cool stuff on it, which involves the multiple classes of Diablo. There's a lot going on this beer stein, and basically you can clearly see multiple class symbols. So if we zoom in on this about as much as I possibly can, you can really sort of see exactly what symbols are on here. First off, we have the barbarian symbol at the top right. Very obvious, the barbarian symbol, because I have it right here. This is the barbarian symbol. As you can see, a helmet with two horns. We also have the sorceress symbol. The sorceress symbol, for some reason, is kind of like a skull with a flame over top of it. That is up here in the top left, as you can see. Then we also have the Necromancer symbol. This is the Necro class symbol. And as you can clearly see, we have the Necromancer class symbol right here. We also have the Druid symbol, which is very obvious. It is the paw, so to speak. And then finally, we also have the Rogue symbol, which is also extremely obvious because it is the bow with the dagger in the center, representing, of course, the many aspects of the rogue, because she can both be a ranged character and a melee character. But then finally, we have a sixth symbol, the sixth symbol representing something else. The sixth symbol is actually right here on the far left, and it seems to be the symbol of the Triune. Now, how do we know that this is the symbol of the Triune? Well, we actually have an actual confirmation that this is the Triune symbol, which is, again, on the Blizzard store, something that they sort of leaked, I suppose would be the term. And you can clearly see the, where is my dojank here? You can clearly see the symbol on the shirt right here. And on the Blizzard store, it is actually specifically labeled that this is the symbol of the Triune. That's what they called it. And looking at the symbol, trying to figure out what the symbol represents, honestly, I think it's very clear that it has some interesting connotations. The bottom part, which is not connected to the top part, seems to almost be a spear. And the top part seems to be something about radiating magic. I would assume that the three waves of the symbol represent the three primevals. So probably Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo. The three prongs of the actual thing also represent essentially them controlling, like the events, so to speak. So I decided to do a little bit of research, and I wanted to see what I could find about the, like the Triune and things like that. And basically what I came to was that the Triune do have warriors, and the Triune apparently are not, what's the term? They are not aware of what is going on, which is part of the issue. So I'm going to bring up a couple websites here, and we're going to be taking a look at some of this stuff, and we're going to go over it together, piece by piece, and we're going to see if we can figure some stuff out. So first off, the Triune apparently has two different kinds of main warriors. One kind of warrior is called the Peace Warder, and the other warrior is called the Inquisitor. According to this, the Peace Warders were the counterpart to the Inquisitors, utilized by the Temple of Light, and like the Inquisitors, were the judges and guards of their respective religion. They wore cowls and leather armor, upon which were the symbols of the three orders of the Triune. They could wear more heavy armor if needs dictated, and carry weapons such as swords and lances. In the Triune Central Temple near Kajan, the Peace Warders guided newcomers to a path of their choosing. Peace Warders always traveled in threes, The premise being that each Peace Warder represented the Triune's three deities. Most, if not all, of the cult's Peace Warders were ignorant of the Triune's true nature, which means that they're not necessarily evil. They just simply follow a faith that unfortunately was controlled by evil. And here we have a picture of a pair of Peace Warders. Apparently, the third one is missing because they always travel in threes, remember? But take note of the spear. It's very important, I think, to take a look at this spear. This spear is quite possibly the exact shape of the one that's in the symbol. With the exception of the two prongs that are on the left and the right, it clearly has the circle and the spear point exactly the same as the symbol that we were looking at earlier. In fact, if you were to overlay them over each other, you would definitely have practically the identical thing. So we know here that the Peace Warders are warriors of faith. They use swords and lances, and they can use heavy armor if need be, but tend to use leather armor and cowls. Now, this is interesting. So cowls and leather armor is rather interesting, as well as heavy armor, because we have some more information as far as like the cowls and things like that. So I have a couple more images here. Let's go back and we'll take a look at some of this stuff. So this was an image that was leaked a while back, and in this image you can clearly see the Necromancer on the left, the Druid right here in the front, the Sorceress right here, center stage pretty much, but a little bit to the left. We see the Rogue right here, which is, fighting in the side, and then the Barbarian, right? But right here, center stage, is a character who is wielding a spear, right? So again, following along with the Triune and the Peace Warders, we have a character wielding a spear who has a shield. She is also wearing a cowl. Again, very, very similar to what's written here. As you clearly see, it says they wore cowls and leather armor upon which the symbols of the three orders of the Triune. They could wear more heavy armor if needs dictated and carry weapons such as swords and lances. So this matches up almost entirely with a Peace Warder. The Peace Warders were not evil, but they did work for an evil organization. And I would assume that if a Peace Warder found out, they were actually following, Mephisto, Diablo, and Baal, which was apparently something that was hidden from the Triune, they may defect. So we may be looking at a warrior who has defected from the Triune, but is still using the techniques and abilities that they learned while they were a member of the Triune. And this is really freaking interesting, to be honest. There is an older image of this particular screenshot, or this artwork, and it's actually kind of interesting because as they added classes, the classes got added to the artwork. So we didn't know about, like, for instance, the Necromancer for a while, and the Druid. So these two classes weren't actually in the artwork originally. It was actually just the Sorceress, the Rogue, and the Barbarian that was originally in the artwork, and they kept adding more and more characters. I'm also kind of curious who the hell this guy is in the back, although I think he's just a random piece of artwork, but he is in black armor. Very interesting looking with a mace, I think. But what's also interesting here is that this character has wings. It seems that she has angel wings, which would almost make her a deity of some kind. But you have to remember that the Triune and Lilith and the Three and all the other things that have gone on, we may have seen something similar to this. I mean, Lilith did have children with an angel after all, so this could be one that simply maintains some more of the characteristics of the angel side of things than otherwise. It's obvious also by the notch in the shield, as you can see here. The notch in the shield is where you would place your spear. So when you are attacking with a spear, you generally, if you're using a shield, you'll have a specific notch that you can put your spear on to use it for attacking purposes. It makes you, gives you more leverage. Essentially, lets you slide the spear shaft along the top of the shield, so you can basically be defensive at the same time as actually attacking. Now let's take a look at the other class. So there is another class, obviously. There is the Inquisitor. So the Peace Warder and the Inquisitors were apparently next to each other in the same organization. And as you can see, the Inquisitors are a type of enforcer found in many organizations across Sanctuary's history. Inquisitors served as the basic infantry of the Cathedral of Light. Well-trained and equipped Inquisitors sometimes served as bodyguards for high-ranking officials as Master Inquisitors. Their counterparts of the Triune were named Peace Warders. Citation needed. Inquisitor Hamath and Grand Inquisitor bear the title of an Inquisitor focused on torture and interrogations. Inquisitors Sebaceous is a terror demon, the ancient torturer. The Templar Order. Inquisitors were present in the Templar Order. They were responsible for the initiation of new Templars into the Order through means of torturing them in order to cleanse them of their sins and remove the memories of who they were before they joined the Order. And we have an image of the actual Inquisitors here. We also have the entry for the Master Inquisitors. A Master Inquisitor was a high-placed position within the ranks of the Cathedral of Light. As its name suggests, a Master Inquisitor outranked normal Inquisitors. Where a cleric of the cathedral was found murdered near the hamlet of Saram, the cathedral dispatched a Master Inquisitor named Brother Michaelis to investigate the murder and see to justice was done. So I think this is moving into Inarius's side. Yes, so this is moving into Inarius's Cathedral of Light, which is the exact opposite. So the Inquisitors are essentially the exact counterpart to the Peace Warders in the opposite religion, which makes sense. And looking at the spear, I think this is probably the most ridiculous piece of information that I've seen here, is that this matches up almost identically with the symbol that we've seen. The circle in the spear is like almost perfect there. We also have a specific Peace Warder that they know about named Radeau. So Radeau was a Peace Warder who had powers of time itself at his command. Unfortunately, this frequently left him in a befuddled state, allowing the upstart cultist Vess to kill him and take the prized crown of Primus for his own. So this is a specific Peace Warder who had the powers of time, which sounds very interesting if we think about it like that. This particular person could have, I don't know how they would actually implement that within the game, but maybe slowing monsters down or speeding up teammates or any number of interesting things. And if we go back to the Temple of the Triune, we can find out more about the temple itself, which might give us an indication of what we would be looking at. So, again, they talk about the Peace Warders mirroring the deities, always traveling in threes. All three cults were led by a high priest. The Triune was the Grand Priest, the Primus. Let's take a look at the Primus. The Primus, or the Grand Priest of the Temple of Triune, was the highest position of the Triune cult. The Primus ruled the Triune from the main temple in Kajan, usually by conveying orders to the three high priests, his most trusted mortal servants. The Primus had angular features and green eyes. He had long, flowing hair of silver and short-trimmed beard that matched it. He was taller and stronger looking than most men, but moved with practical gentleness. In truth, the Primus was but a disguise of the demon Lucian, who secretly tried to establish a foothold for the burning hells and sanctuary. After his death, the form of the Primus was used by both Lilith and the arachnid demon Astraga. The position of Primus had a crown, which was stolen by the cultist Vess. So according to this, Lilith specifically took the form of the Primus after her brother Lucian died. So Lilith basically became the, I don't want to say the leader, because Baal, Mephisto, and Diablo are still the three primes, so they're still the leaders of the Temple of Triune. But it does look like Lilith took the position of the High Priest, which is the Primus. So that makes sense also because the symbol of the Triune, this particular symbol, is actually displayed above Lilith in several pieces of artwork. So when we take a look at this particular symbol, I like the shirt one better because it just looks good. But when we take a look at this particular symbol symbol is associated with Lilith because she is the Primus of that religion. She's not the leader. Obviously she didn't take the place of Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo, but she did take the place of the high priest of that particular religion, which means she probably has some pretty serious sway in it. Now, following the logic that perhaps this Peace Warder, that's what we'll call it, this Peace Warder has betrayed her faith, or his faith. This could potentially mean that we have a holy warrior. So basically, think about it like this. You're a Peace Warder, you've been doing your job for a really long period of time. The primevals get killed, angels fall to earth, something happens, and Narius comes back, and you see the truth. And upon seeing the truth, you decide to defect from your own religion. So you're no longer a member of the Triune. But you're still a Peace Warder. You were still trained within the Triune. You still learned everything from them. And now you've gone off on your own to do what? To kill Lilith because you learned her secret? Sounds very, very likely that we could be looking at a situation where we have a person who wasn't necessarily a bad person, who learned the truth, found out that her grand Primus was in fact a demon, and then decided to do something about it, which is very interesting indeed. Whether or not we will see this particular hero at launch, I really doubt it. In fact, this is probably something that might not be coming till much later. But the fact that they included it on this beer stein, which is pretty damning evidence, in my opinion, that a 6th class does in fact already exist. The beer stein is pretty crazy. We have the Triune on here, by the way. So not only do we have the Triune symbol, we also have the Triune itself. So when you look at this, where it says Diablo 4, there's a triangle in the center. And Dark Lord Dash pointed this out as well. But basically, each one of the symbols at the edges of the triangle represent Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo. So we already have the Triune represented here. Which means that this symbol, the symbol of the Triune over here, is not specifically talking about Mephisto, Diablo, and Baal. And we also have the context that each one of these is, of course, a class symbol, which means that this 6th symbol is probably a class symbol as well. Now, I think the idea of a Peace Warder being a member of the classes sounds really interesting. It's a spear class, which is pretty cool. And we do have some information about a spear class already. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, because I know the video has already been going for quite some time. But there was a very early on in the Diablo beta, Diablo 4 artwork, there was a picture of a class, and it was of a shield user that had a spear. Now, it had the shield user did have the Cathedral of Light symbol on his chest, and this kind of means that it's probably not our boy, the one that we're talking about, or our girl, but it is specifically a spear wielder. We also have this piece of artwork here, which represents the Triune. Let me see if I can bring this up on camera real quick. So this is another image which represents Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal, and it has also the symbol of the Triune here. So it has the triangle. We've got the spear, and then of course the what seems to be almost like a trident with the three demons over top of it. We also have the priest, which is in the center here, and then a person, of course, on the altar. It looks like he's being sacrificed. But in general, what we're looking at here is a the cult, essentially, right? So this is another image of the Triune cult. Anyway, I thought I would try and put my own video together on this because it is rather interesting, and I think I have kind of like a different conclusion than what I've seen some other people come up with, like the Dark Knight, the Evil Warrior, so forth and so on, the Valkyrie. I've heard a lot of people come up with various things, but it makes a lot of sense with the Triune. We've got a lot of things going on here that are matching up with the Triune Peace Warder. Number one, the spear that the Triune warriors are using almost matches the symbol exactly. Number two, the description of the Peace Warders says that they have a cowl. They always wear a cowl, and we have a cowl on our girl here. Number three, it says that they do wield heavy armor, and we do have one wielding heavy armor here. It says they use a spear. It says they can also use a sword, and not only that, but her shield is notched, which specifically indicates that it is to be used with a spear. And we also have the knowledge that the Peace Warders were apparently unaware of the evil doings that were going on within their own religion. Apparently, the three prime evils kept their identity a secret from the Peace Warders. So we could potentially have an actual holy knight, the Peace Warder, coming from the Triune religion, who perhaps is no longer following the Triune religion. She could even still be following the Triune religion, which is very interesting, because if she technically doesn't know that her religion is evil, or he doesn't know that his religion is evil, then there is a possibility that the Peace Warder could still be doing things for good without actually knowing that her religion is essentially evil, which isn't too far-fetched, to be honest. Anyway, tell me what you guys think down in the comments. I'm interested to hear. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.